we're going to talk about something real quick. And we're going to talk about trading, and we're going to talk about social media, and we're just going to talk about psychology in general. And this is important because you are in your own way. And this is a huge thing that I'm talking about here. You're in your own way when it comes to learning, growing, developing your intellectual capability, your cognitive awareness, your capability to analyze the intentions of others around you, especially in an online space. Get out of your own way. Now, what do I mean by that? Stop getting sold by everyone online because whatever it is sounds good. I've seen it all over the place. And then when real critical problems happen, like the shootings that happen and take place, no one has even an inkling of an idea of where this all stems from. And it all comes from the same place. Social media, online, self-preservation, laziness, unambition, no willingness to learn. It's all the same issues. You're in the way of yourself. I was in the way of myself too. I still am to some degree. Because, I don't come off as the nicest person online. Despite, if you met me in real life, you'd be like, oh shit, I don't even get mad ever. Hardly. But this is the problem. You've been trained, and what you think you need to be successful, at least how the reflection shows in the actions of those that are online, people like to have a group of peers who think the same as they do. Now, this is dangerous because it's based on, most of the time, misinformation. Also, you think you need, in most cases, everyone likes to have an expert, a hero, a guru, to guide them through something, a process, to learn something. Not needed. All you need is for someone to show you the way to the source of the information that is accurate and can be depicted as true based on the text alone, not an opinionated circular article, news article, podcast, an expert in the field. It doesn't matter. If it's not coming from an unbiased, non-entity document, then it doesn't matter, in my opinion. Now, what you think you'll need likely is a lot of money. You don't need a lot of money to learn, especially to trade, especially to become successful. If money was defined in success, again, I don't think the world would be at all like it is today, despite all the negative airwaves out there that you hear, which is part of the problem. All birthed from the internet, most of it, with a little help of social media. And of course, when it comes to trading, why do you think you see the same tickers being discussed all over the internet, no matter what forum you go to, no matter what Reddit or subreddit, crypto, it's all the same because people don't know how to think outside of the social media groupthink. If you're new to something and you get into it and everyone's talking about stock A or B or C or D, E, F, you can name, there's 20 stocks that everyone always trades. It's the same shit. There's over 8,000 tickers in the market, and no one knows anything anymore. And it's sad to see this happening. What you actually need is a willingness to learn. You don't see this anymore. Everyone expects the easy way out. They're just going to go online. They're going to find some topic that 500,000 other people are talking about, and then for some magic fucking reason, everyone in that group is right, and they're going to be correct, and they're all going to get Lambos. And no, that's not how life works. If you don't realize this by now, what are you doing? If you're young, that's a different story. But if you're in your 30s, 40s, 50s, or older, you should well fucking know by now that nothing's given to you on a silver platter unless you're fucking lucky. And that's literally how shit works. Another thing you're going to want is patience and self-discipline. You're going to be wrong. I was wrong. I'm still wrong. You're going to be wrong on things. And likely, the cause of this incorrectness, a lot of the times, stems from information that you were told and went with, at face value, that was given to you by someone else, which is the major problem that I see all over the place. Like, people are wondering where people are getting radicalized. They're getting radicalized on the fucking internet because there's so much disinformation going around, and no one even cares to have any integrity at all to verify it. They just go with it because it sounds good and it aligns with their hopes and dreams. That's not how shit works, but it is on the internet. Now, this is important. Integrity in practice. when you are in the stage of learning what the reality is, you have to have integrity when that is happening. Just because a massive amount of people say you're a dumb fuck and are wrong, but you know you're right because you're reading like documents that it would uphold in court or anywhere else other than the internet for some reason, that's a sign you are correct. Because again, the internet is designed and it has become a place, and I think it's a huge problem that not a lot of people think about, where there is too much information going around and not enough people with the correct and educational background to verify said information. It is a huge problem. It's a bunch of people blindly leading others into darkness and off the cliff. And then the last thing you need is innovative thought. You can have, the ability to think outside the box in today's day and age with data and trading ideas, especially with multiple people, like with the systems available. All you see is algos, scout bots, the same technical analysis charts, the same moving averages. Do you think, by chance, that if, as complex as all this stuff is, do you really think that it's limited to what you're given in these trading apps and in the books that are written and everything you've heard from every guru and expert that we talked about at the beginning? That's it's the same shit. It's the same boring ass shit, and everyone's still wrong all the time because no one is thinking outside the box when it's never been easier to do so. So I'm just going to talk about one thing in this video. I'll make more later, but basically we're going to go into the online group of peers who think the same. It's a big problem. Look, I don't care if you have a group of 50,000 people who think something. If you don't show me evidence of why you think this is the case, and I can look at the same thing you did to come to the same conclusion you did on the same basic facts in front of me, if I cannot do that, it does not matter how you feel or how many people you have in your group. I'm still going to think it's bullshit until proven otherwise. And I feel like every single human being should take this advice and do the exact same thing. So person A is wrong about subject A, and then, despite these topics here, even talking about these things is going to piss off some people that watch this, but I don't care. Flat Earth, the Bill Gates depopulating claims from the TED Talk, the WEF evil intentions conspiracy, all of the war narratives, it's all from people who are lazy, who haven't looked into what's really going on, and they like to pretend to know what's going on because it sounds good, feels good, or aligns with what their group thinks. This is just how the psychology works. Despite these topics being easily debunked, and mountains of evidence. Quote mining is a major tactic used to convince others that information is true when it's not. It's when you take something out of context and make it seem like it's something else. But yeah, all you get is for evidence is circular reasoning. If you want someone to prove you wrong, all they send to you is an article from a website that's opinionated, or a Facebook post, or a Twitter post, or a YouTube video. It's all circular reasoning. None of it's evidence, and you shouldn't accept it as evidence. Now, with the birth of the internet, there are two paths that you can take. The road to disinformation, or the road that feels right, or reality, despite how it makes you feel. The shit that I've learned and the shit that I came from, I went against my gut big time. Sure, I wanted MOAS to happen. Sure, I wanted it all to be what we thought it was, but it's not, because guess what? That's not reality. Magic doesn't happen. And then, for example, you have people who are blatantly, I'm not going to name names, but you know who they are, blatantly say things that are not true, and then they come from a stance of high conviction when they have nothing to back it up other than that conviction. That is because they have to keep themselves relevant, self-preservation, integrity. That's what it's about. Integrity. Despite what the information is, you can't spin it any way at all. Now, this is what you really need. Again, a willingness to learn. How many people have put the work in to learn the things out there that are readily available to them? You have tools all over the internet. You have free courses. You have, profit calculators, P&L charts. You have documentation, SEC filings. All that shit's out there. But how many people utilize it? I can tell you how many. We're going to look right now. Go to the Fed Register's website. Go to any of these documents that are sitting here on public inspection. all of this complaining on social media about how the markets aren't fair, yet no one wants to take the time and come look at the documents that are sitting on public inspection, waiting to be published tomorrow, some of them filed immediately, where you can go and you can comment on some of these or look them over. 11 page views on this one from FINRA. This here is about reporting requirements where they're not they're basically not requiring foreign sovereign debt transactions. They're not disseminating information at this time. But, no one takes the time to go look at it. They'd rather sit on social media and pretend like they know what's going on, when in reality, they don't. And again, you're never going to unless you put the time in. That's just a fact. You have to start thinking for yourself. Or otherwise, social media is going to ruin the freaking planet more than it already has already. Groupthink. I have an idea. That was my idea. No, that was my DD. No, I was thinking that was my DD. Who gives a fuck? It's no one's DD because it was on the internet sitting there for anyone to go find it. So people that fight over DD, go fuck yourself. Now, breaking groupthink. Thanks, now I got a better idea. That comes from the dude on the outside that's like, hey bro, did you know about this? And then, no, I didn't. And then that person passes on this real information to others that discuss it. And that's how you get positive flow as far as information on the internet. But this is what we see. It's all groupthink. We're all fighting over misinformation. It's fucking hilarious. Despite there being like 7 different ways till Sunday to disprove a lot of these things floating around there on the internet. So again, you gotta just see it's kind of stupid where we're headed. Now, how do you tell if someone that you're getting information from is a follower, right? Who's a sheeple just regurgitating information that they themselves don't even know is true because they're so convinced in their own mind because they want it so good or it feels so good to them that they're just foregoing all of the evidence that is against it. How do you tell if that's the person that you're following? Well, take note of who they follow, because chances are you're following someone who's following someone else, who's following someone else, and they're all getting it from the same place, social media. How many of them get it from books or documentation that are, you know how many documents are published on a daily basis? New documents that have changes in them that change the situation in front of you, but we're all speculating about what Billy said on Twitter 2 days ago? That shit doesn't work. That's not ever going to lead us to where we need to go. So just take note of who they follow. If all you see is like, hey, I follow this dude, he said this, and this dude said this, and he got it from here, and it's all on social media, it's an echo chamber. It's not relevant. But if they send you like a fucking report, like an FR15 report, and they say, look at this shit, you know it's real because that is a reporting document from the United States government, and those are audited, and there is laws regarding that. So again, there's no laws on the internet as far as speech. That's the problem. So again, take note of who they follow, and then take note of who those people follow, because chances are they're all following each other. It's a big old circle jerk of, I don't know shit, but I'm going to pretend like I do because I have 500 people who follow me, and they think the same thing. But you're all not giving evidence, so it does not matter. That's the reality of the situation. 98% of people use circular reasoning because they're stuck on social media groupthink mentality. And again, a lot of it isn't your fault. A lot of it is by design. I was the same way. It takes a lot of effort to get out, but it's worth it because you are your own person. You see and you are above all of the bullshit. And it's just so absurd how people complain. They will sit there and complain, but won't do anything about it other than continue to not learn and pretend like the magical fairy tales that are out there are going to happen because of reasons. That's not what we should do. We should step up. We have the ability to. If you have enough time to shit on, Reddit all day or Twitter, you have enough time to go read a document and learn how things actually work. Because everything you see and everything you experience, in the markets especially, works a certain way. There is no magic in the markets. Not at all. There's crime, sure, in the form of swaps, but we know they're in the swaps. But that doesn't mean this is going to happen or that's going to happen. Again, circular reasoning. Just because haircuts go down doesn't mean MOAS. Just because haircuts go up doesn't mean MOAS. Just because GameStop says DRS in their shareholder report for the yearly report because they have to doesn't mean MOAS. Just because kombucha doesn't mean MOAS. If you haven't noticed, since DRS started, the price is down almost 100%. So, claps for you. Let's wake up, people. It's time. You gotta have the cognitive ability to break through this stuff, because if you look at it from the outside in, it's ridiculous how some people can believe this stuff, and even despite being proven wrong, they will still cling on to it with no evidence for their position. So again, I think it's got to stop. So feeling like you're right only works until you're proven wrong without a reasonable doubt, which on the internet isn't enough to convince people, which is why becoming a huge issue from an information and educational standpoint. When you don't want to believe something's wrong despite the evidence there being against you, imagine if courts work that way. Guilty. Oh, well, I don't feel like I'm guilty, so yeah, he's free. Fuck it, he doesn't feel like he's guilty. That's not how it works. And that's why the internet is a critical issue when it comes to the information that's being out there. Nobody knows what's going on, especially in finance, because no one's looking in the right areas. They're all complacent and pretending like they know, trading up the same boring strategies that, yeah, sure, at the end of the day, you might make it, but again, probably not, because you wouldn't be on Twitter so much. They're all complacent and pretending like they know because they heard something untrue from somewhere else, or they're complacent in how they're currently trading, which is fine. If the trader's out there making bank, do what works. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you want to learn something new, you're only ever going to learn what that person's showing you. If you're a follower, you might as well take the reins of the information yourself. It's out there, and learn it, and then you can use it and utilize new techniques, new innovative ideas, and put it out there in the market and test it out. This is exactly what you should do. And social media is the vehicle, and everyone is asleep at the wheel. Wake up, stop being the product, and hit that wall. And instead of smashing against it and going nowhere, hit the gas pedal and bust through it and actually see the other side. And holy fuck, you'll never look back. Those who make claims without evidence are psychologically chained to their own self-preservation online. Changed my mind.